Hello students, teachers, parents, history nerds. Hello everybody, and welcome to Nutshelled History, where we lay out the facts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today we are going to continue our American government series by looking at elections. Don't forget that there's a link for a fill-in-the-blank worksheet in the description. I just ask that you like and subscribe. I apologize for any mispronunciations ahead of time. I do my best. So, a political party is basically like a club where the main game is to win elections and control the government. Imagine it like a giant game of Monopoly, except instead of buying hotels, they're trying to get votes, and the two major teams in the US are the Republicans and Democrats. Think of them as the ultimate rival squads, like the Sharks and the Jets, but with more speeches and less dancing. Political parties are the ultimate matchmakers in government, hooking up the people's wishes with government action. They also play therapist, trying to smooth over arguments between extremists so the country doesn't spiral into chaos most of the time. They've got 5 big jobs: nominate candidates, like throwing your name in the hat for team captain, inform and inspire people, cue the endless political commercials, make sure their candidates aren't total disasters, govern, and play watchdog when the other side is in power, like pointing out every time the other team fumbles the ball. The two-party system in the US is basically part of the country's DNA. It all started when some old-timey dudes, the Federalists and Anti-Federalists, couldn't agree on the Constitution. And just like that, boom, the modern political system was born. Now, thanks to single-member districts, translation, winner takes all, the two major parties have all the power, while smaller parties get left in the dust. Speaking of smaller parties, there are 4 types of minor ones. You've got your ideological parties, super intense, like the person at a party who just has to debate everything. Single-issue parties, only care about one thing, like a broken record. Economic protest parties, here to whine when the economy tanks. And splinter parties, basically the drama queens who storm out of the main parties because they didn't get their way. Even though they rarely win, minor parties can still crash the party and spoil the fun for the big dogs by stealing votes. In the end, political parties are like big, messy families, decentralized, full of internal squabbles, and always trying to throw the best party, pun intended, to win over swing voters. But love 'em or hate 'em, they're not going anywhere. Like that one uncle who shows up every Thanksgiving with strong opinions and questionable ties. Nomination in politics is like the who wants to be captain moment in a big team. It's a huge deal because before we can vote on who gets the big chair, president, governor, etc., someone's got to decide who's even in the race. There are 5 ways to get nominated in the US, and each one is its own flavor of political pageantry. First, there's self-announcement. Basically someone standing up and saying, "Hey, I'm running!" Like that kid who always volunteers for dodgeball captain. Then there's the caucus, where a group of people who think alike gather and pick their favorite, usually involving coffee and arguing. Next is the convention, which is basically a massive political party where everyone pretends to agree. Direct primaries are like elections within a party, and petitions are for people who collect signatures like they're trading Pokemon cards. Most states have gone the direct primary route because who doesn't love more elections? They can be closed, exclusive like a VIP party where only the cool kids or party members can vote, or open, where anyone can crash the party and vote for whoever. Some states even had blanket primaries where voters could pick from any party, but those got shut down in 2000 because apparently that was too much freedom. At the local level, people get nominated by petitioning. It's like getting signatures to convince your neighbors you're the best person for the school board, because nothing says democracy like door-to-door campaigning. So, to pick a president and vice president, both major political parties throw a massive pep rally, aka the National Convention, where delegates vote like it's the Oscars for politics. Most states hold presidential primaries, which are like mini elections that help decide which delegates get invited to this big party. It's a little complicated because, depending on the state, you might either vote for a candidate or a delegate, but either way, someone gets a fancy trip to the convention. Some states like to spice things up with a winner-takes-all system, where one candidate hogs all the delegates, but Democrats decided that was a little too intense. Now, they've got this proportional representation thing, where as long as you win 15% of the vote, you get a slice of the delegate pie. It's kind of like participation trophies, but for politicians. Caucuses, on the other hand, are more like secret club meetings where party members get together, argue a lot, and eventually pick delegates. It's democracy, but with snacks and way more side-eye. Once everyone's gathered at the national convention, they adopt a platform, basically a list of their promises, and listen to someone give a rousing speech about how awesome their party is. Then, they vote on who gets to run for president and vice president. After all this, the real drama begins with the campaigns targeting swing voters, the indecisive ones, and battleground states, the ones where it's always a nail-biter. Election day rolls around, and the public thinks they're voting for a president. But surprise! They're actually picking electors who get to vote later. The Electoral College has a few issues, like how a candidate can win the most votes but still lose the presidency, awkward, and how electors can sometimes go rogue. If nobody wins a majority, the House of Representatives picks the president, which feels like a weird tiebreaker in a game nobody really understands. People keep suggesting ways to fix this mess, like the district plan or direct popular vote, but so far, it's still the same Electoral College we know and love to complain about. Do you agree with using the Electoral College? Let us know in the comments down below. In politics, money talks, and it talks a lot. Presidential campaigns are the biggest spenders, burning cash like it's going out of style. Their money comes from two main sources: generous donors and the government's piggy bank. Most of the cash comes from private contributors, including individuals, families, and PACs, political action committees, who act like the campaign's hype squad. Congress, being the responsible adult in the room, tried to impose rules on this money madness through laws like the Federal Election Campaign Act and the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act, BCRA. The goal? Stop people from playing fast and loose with soft money, aka no-strings-attached donations used for things like voter registration. The FEC, Federal Election Commission, is the campaign finance police, making sure candidates disclose where their stacks of cash come from and how they spend it. But in the Wild West of campaign finance, super PACs showed up, flexing their unlimited spending power as long as they don't openly work with candidates. It's like a secret admirer sending expensive gifts, but swearing they have no idea who the candidate is. Even with all the rules, loopholes are as common as popcorn at a movie. 527 organizations and 501 C groups raise unlimited amounts without technically being part of a political party. Then came the infamous Citizens United decision in 2010, where the Supreme Court basically said, sure, spend all you want, and campaigns did just that, turning election spending into a record-breaking sport. And this trend isn't slowing down anytime soon. Alright, now let's recap. Political parties are like the ultimate clubs, with the main mission of winning elections and running the government. Think less monopoly, more votes. The US features two big rival teams, Democrats and Republicans, who duke it out for power, while minor parties play the role of sideline critics. Political parties handle everything from nominating candidates to keeping an eye on their opponents. Campaigns? Well, they run on cash, lots of it, from private donors or the government, and Congress tries to regulate the spending with rules that get dodged through loopholes. Meanwhile, the Electoral College and its quirky system sometimes leave voters scratching their heads, especially when the popular vote doesn't match the result. In the end, it's a lot of money, drama, and speeches all to win over swing voters in battleground states, and we keep suggesting ways to reform the system but can't agree on how. There you have it, folks. That is elections nutshelled. Thanks for stopping by Nutshelled History. I hope that you elect to like and subscribe. I'll see y'all next time on Nutshelled History.